Alright, so decided to doodle around a little bit in Autodesk Inventor. One of the things that I've seen a lot of students try and play around with when they first get introduced to CAD software is shields and swords. I guess maybe part of the fantasy flair of it, but it is kind of a fun shape to do. And I want to give you some tips on how to go ahead and up your game a little bit with modeling. So basic shield, not a lot of ornaments in this one, at least not in the Inventor version, but do want to show you at least a couple of tips on how to go ahead and get that curve in there. So what we're going to do is going to go ahead and start a new standard part file within Inventor, and we're going to start off with a basic sketch. But in the basic sketch, the first thing we're actually going to draw is a construction center line. And just roughly sizing this 3 inches. So we get the center line. We'll need that for some of the mirroring in a minute. We're going to go ahead and grab the arc tool to go ahead and draw regular kind of hook for the top, and then a second arc to go ahead and flare it out a little bit. You can kind of play around with it a little bit. No dimensions set in this one. But after we have one half set up, to go ahead and make sure that we're matching whatever we do, we're grabbing the mirror pattern to go ahead and select the 2 lines that are going to mirror, and then the center line that we set up to go ahead and create the full shape. Now you can tweak it a little bit more if you want. I'm going to say that that looks fine for me. So finishing the sketch, zooming back out, doing a small extrusion. Let's try 0.25 inches. Let's try bring it back a little bit, because we'll go ahead and add some thickness to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start another sketch on the surface to go ahead and create that the bevel portion. Get this zoomed back in, and to do that we're going to go ahead and project the geometry of the entire shape. We're going to use the offset tool to go ahead and bring it in a little bit. 0.2 looks fine for me. And then we can go ahead and finish that sketch and do the extrusion. But actually, because we can go ahead and do multiple things in the same sketch, I'm going to go ahead and put in the single character. Now, one of the downsides of Inventor is it won't automatically generate that. So from what I was playing around with earlier, had to find a better font, so we'll use the script bold. We can see that a little bit in the preview, and we know that we're going to need a decent size. So that's going to look all right to me. Then hit escape a couple of times, clear the tools to go ahead and loosely place vertical position, and we can use some of the symmetry tools to go ahead and help us out. So symmetry tool left and right of the character, and then I can go back into my origin tools, hover over them to go ahead and have it center on the y-axis, where you see it kind of highlighted in white as the center. That you go ahead and adjust it a little bit to go ahead and figure out vertical placement. So bring that back up a little bit. Okay. So with the sketching finished, we can go ahead and do another extrusion, E for extrusion. Select the parts that we want to extend out, so the letter as well as the barrier that we set up. We don't need it to go out quite the same distance. Let's set it for 0.0625, about 1/16 of an inch. Hit OK. And that leaves us with kind of a flat shield, and that's what I see a lot of students being able to go ahead and get to. But a tool that you may not be aware of is how we can actually use some modifications. And the one that we're going to use is the bend part, but it's needing a visible center line, a point where it's going to bend. So to take care of that, we're going to rotate around to the back. We're going to go ahead and do another sketch, and we're going to go ahead and do another center line drawing point. Okay, So I've got it just locked down to the anchors. Okay. Finish that sketch. We can now go into the modify, bend part, and we can tell it first where the bend line is. And we'll look at the top view to go ahead and see how the bend is being applied. And we can go ahead and say that we need to have both sides bent, not just one. But then we need to go ahead and play around with the radius to go ahead and decide how far we're going to bend that shield. In this case, a smaller radius means that we're going to have a smaller bend right there. Larger numbers are going to go ahead and smooth this out. So let's try 3.5. That's maybe a bit too much. Let's try 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 is enough to go ahead and kind of give it the dramatic feeling. But the bend tool is definitely a way of going ahead and giving the shield a bit more of a feature where it's kind of giving it a bit more realism. So hopefully these tools have helped you out. Again, this was just kind of playing around, doodling, but I know a lot of you are kind of already interested in doing that. So learning more tools is definitely a better way of getting a deeper understanding of the CAD software, and sometimes just playing around is what the people that end up writing books use to go ahead and give them some guidance. So by all means, play around, and if you ever have questions, just let me know.